Hey y'all, and welcome back to the BlaQberry Review. It is episode 3 of season 2. As you can see, Auntie over here is cackling. Wait, cackling? Is that how you say it? But hey y'all, thank you again for joining us for another episode. As you can see, we are continuously having fun here on the BlaQberry View. And as you saw in the last episode, we had some toys and some fun for you. Yeah, so hopefully you went to the website, you got some information, you got some toys, you're playing with yourself, you're fondling yourself, you do what you need to do to keep you happy. But on today, we are going to talk about what does it mean to be better, right? So have you all ever been in a state of mind where you're like, I just want to grow, I just want to evolve, I just want to get to the next level, I just want to elevate, right? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And as we're bringing in the new year, you know, it's 2022, or some people saying 2022. Did y'all get that? It's like, yeah, okay. It's like 2020.
Part two.
Oh, 2022.
Yes.
You girls are late.
But yeah, so as we're getting into this new year, we thought this would be the perfect time to talk about what does it mean to do better. So, Harold, what you got for us, girl?
So, for the Daily Squeeze, I kind of want to shift gears. Spoiler alert for anybody who has not seen Insecure. As you know, unfortunately, it has come to an end. And by end, like it will no longer, Issa Rae will no longer be producing any series and seasons. Any other seasons to that particular show. As such, the season finale got me thinking around our definition of what makes sense. And there was this recurring notion that sometimes what may be the stupid answer for other people is the right answer for you. And so it got me thinking, I wanted to ask y'all, in your lifetime, when have you seen you navigate that where you are choosing a particular option or a particular like avenue that other people will otherwise deem kind of like, that doesn't make sense?
Well, so for those who don't know, over the course of 2021, I had 3 jobs. Not two, but 3. And for me at age 40, I stopped really paying attention to shit that just didn't serve me. Those who know me know, baby, Zach don't mind packing a bag and going. Like, Zach don't mind picking up and going somewhere. But it doesn't make sense for a lot of people, right? Like, there's this mentality of having longevity at a place or longevity in doing a particular role. However, life is not a dress rehearsal. You only get one shot at this shit. And so for me, I looked at Molly, for instance. So I was always Team Molly. Molly was my character that I identified with on Insecure. And when she decided to leave the white firm to go to the black firm, folks was like, I don't really know. I was like, bitch, do that shit. You know, because of the fact that you have to have the opportunity to try something out. And if it doesn't work, guess what? You try something else, you know? And so I looked at 2021 for me as that opportunity for me to reinvent myself after being 16 years in a profession, in a career that I adored, but I just didn't necessarily agree with it. I said, all right, it's time for me to make that pivot. I made that pivot in May and joined a great company, loved that company, but I felt like something was missing. And I happened upon another company, another organization that a friend of mine told me about, and I applied for the job, got it, and I'm completely happy with where I'm at. So for me, it's leveling up and being better for myself from a professional standpoint, so I can essentially establish my legacy going forward in life.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I was watching a episode of Blackish today, and Andre Johnson, he was, he worked at that white ad firm, advertising firm. And, they a lot of times made racist remarks, like they were just out of tune with everything. And he was at the point to where, I just feel like, he sees his wife very happy, Bo is all about, oh, I'm a doctor and I love it. You can see the joy in her face, and he was missing that, right? He was like, I'm just ready to grow, to do something different. So he actually, on that day, quit his job in the middle of work, just walked out of the job and was like, I'm just gonna start my own advertising firm. He's like, it's time. Now, of course, by the time the episode ended, the original ad agency brought him back and said, hey, how about we buy your company? We'll meet whatever demands or whatever you want. You can grow, you can, whatever the case may be. And so he inevitably went back. But that got me to thinking, like, we have to, if we feel like we are being stunted in our growth, much to what you were saying, we have to make a change. We have to make a difference. And sometimes life will force that upon us. I know I was working at an organization up until July, and I was miserable. I think I was just miserable with the field of public health. And so I actually quit my job. I said, here's my 2 weeks. I didn't know if I was gonna get another job. I had gotten another job, but that didn't work out. But so for 6 months, I was not working. For 6 months, I didn't know where income was coming from. I was going to, I was doing consulting jobs, but I left that job because I was just tired. I just needed a break. I needed something new. And sometimes that something new doesn't come in the form of another job. Sometimes, you may stay at that job, but what balance can you have in your life? So maybe it's about keeping that job, but then like the BlaQberry, us doing the BlaQberry View, that is a change, that is growth, that's elevation. Or finding something else that's going to help you grow and be creative. So,
I think for me, it was my decision to go back to school to get my doctorate, just because that I had been in school literally for the past 20 years of my life. And during that time, I probably may have taken 12 months worth of break of being out. And so I'm also in the field of public health. And so I had like a lot of people around me and family telling me, oh, you don't need your doctorate to do the work that you do now. Or, are you sure that's what you want? Or, you're going to have to pay that back. It's going to be hard to work a full-time job and to go get your doctorate. And so like for a while, I toyed back and forth based off of what other people thought about my own journey. But I had to realize that it's my life. And I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. And I don't need to let anyone put me in a box based off what they think can happen, because I know that I can do anything that I put my mind to. And what's meant to be will be, and what's not, it's not. And if it wasn't meant, I wouldn't have been given the opportunity to even go into a doctoral program. So for me, over this past year, that moment of me just like having people, granted, some people told me to go, but I had a lot more people in my life or my circle who gave me more reservations and support around my decision. And I just had to come to a conclusion of like, I know where I want to be in life, and I feel that getting my doctorate is going to be the best option for me, so I can be the person within public health that I want to be within the next 4 to 5 years. Because I'm also young. People tell me, you got time. You still in your 20s. You don't got to go now. No, I'm going to go now. So by the time I'm 30, I'll be Dr. Walker. And you can't say that I'm not educated, nor can you say I don't have the work experience to tell you what the fuck to do. But that was it for me. And I want to leave with our viewers is that if you have something in your heart that you want to achieve and you just want to make happen, don't let people outside of you make decisions for your life because they think they know what's best for you. Because only you know what's best. I think that oftentimes we seek people for advice and assistance, and like we let other people sway our opinions and sway how we feel about ourselves and sway what we do. And that's fine and dandy because wisdom is everything. But just know that when you do that continuously and you start to let people make decisions about your life without including you or without putting your own thought beforehand, you begin to live for those people and not live for yourself. And that leads to a lot of mental health issues, different forms of depression and anxiety because you're living your life through the lens of somebody opposite to you instead of your own.
I'm pretty much like everyone here. For me, I'm a firm believer of do what makes sense to you and do what makes you happy. And kind of like the same vein as career goes, at a young age, probably like high school time, like I already knew that I wanted to, for one, have options. Two, I wanted to both have a singing career and work in corporate America. So that kind of like gave me focus whenever I went into undergrad. And I was like, what if I was dual degree in college? But then I had a whole bunch of naysayers. They was like, dual degree, then you're going to be in school for so long. And then all of my, my fellow classmates, they were finishing in 4 years and I'm still in school. And I was just, I started to like spiral into this depression because I felt like I was being left behind. However, as time went on, I had to really ground myself and think about like, but this is what you wanted, and this is what you feel like this is your purpose in life, that you should both work as a singer, as a performer, as an artist, also as someone in the marketing field. So saying all of that to say, I finished with both degrees. I mean, it took me like six and a half years, but I did it. And then also kind of like what Chris was saying, it's like then you transition on to like grad school, and then that's a whole nother like 2 years master's. And then I wanted to do post-grad work. So I did another 2 years. So that was like another 4 years. So just saying all of that to say, like, it was a lot, and it didn't make sense to a lot of people, but it made sense to me. And I already knew that this is what I wanted. And so like now I'm at a place that I'm ready to make another transition. And I kind of told these guys too, like a few weeks back, where I feel like I'm being complacent and just being like I'm not being active enough in my career, and I'm kind of getting stagnant. So I'm trying to like make new transitions for 2022, and that's actually going to happen. So I mean, it's definitely on my list. So again, do what makes you happy and do what makes sense to you, not anyone else.
So for me, I wanted to highlight a quote from Insecure by Lawrence, a person whom I never thought I'd quote. I'm sorry for not being who you expected me to be, who I expected me to be. So for me, I think career is definitely very much so I can relate to career, but I think also a common relator, particularly based off of Insecure, is just love. I think you choosing to love on a person whom people wouldn't otherwise like think is good for you. I have recently reconnected with a person, and you
ain't told us nothing.
Wait a minute.
But anyway, the reason why we did date in the past and the reason why it did not work out was because at that time that person was not at a point of acceptance about themselves. And yeah, so and and so at that point in time,
DL. Girl, that's my type of man. Yes, go sister.
at that point in time, we severed ties. But I say this to say, one of my best friends, who was well aware of our relationship, told me in the most infantile stages of our relationship, you need to drop him because he is he's not at a space that he can really support and just cherish you, and like you are accommodating him in so many ways, and he doesn't seem like he's doing the same. But I still had something pulling me back. Very much something pulling me back. And so while we're not dating, we have definitely kept up over the years, and we recently just had like a big long period of time where we have not communicated. I didn't know where he was or what was going on, and we recently just reconnected. And so we started catching up again, and he's doing well in life. And I'm doing my own thing. So we're good. I say all that to say is that my best friend, right? And other people would say, if this person is in this moment and season of life is not good for you, then they won't ever be good for you. But I think I had to recognize that sometimes those who are not good for you in a moment may be good for you later. And that may be unpopular opinion, but this is a real tea.
That's real. I mean, that's Lawrence and Issa. I mean, for those who haven't seen it, Adrian, I wanted Lawrence and Issa to end up together, and they did. I mean,
Yeah, you were the only one.
but I saw exactly what you just said, in the fact that they may not be for you at that moment. However, you both need that opportunity to grow, and I think Lawrence needed that opportunity to have the bottom fall out from under him. And Issa needed that opportunity to really fuck up, and she did, and realize, all right, you know, we come back together, and we don't really look at it at the moment in time because it hurts a lot. Yeah. However, there's something to be said about finding your way back to someone. Absolutely. That's beautiful.
But that's the joy about life, right? Like that's you know, the spontaneity piece of life and the unexpected love, and you know, like just finding your way back to someone or something, right?
So now, let me tell you this, devil's advocate. Now, if you know you ain't got no goddamn business being with somebody because they did some shit that has been unorthodox, don't go back. Don't make excuses for going back. If they put you in a dangerous situation, threaten your life, or any type of domestic violence situation, domestically violent, mental abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, think twice before you go back.
A wise person once said, don't make red flags yellow.
Right. And also another wise person said that some people do have some green flags, and we should pay attention to those. We often only pay attention to red flags, and we don't pay attention to somebody.
But I'm only looking for green flags if he's tall, dark skin, with a beard, white teeth, and makes at least $125,000.
With that being said, y'all, please make sure that in whatever it is that you are doing, that do not be afraid to take that next step, take that leap, and go for what you really want, right? Because life is very short. You only get one performance, and that's it. It's not a dress rehearsal. So please go ahead and take that leap, and we're about to take a leap to our commercial, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to episode 3, where we're talking about what does it mean to do better, to elevate? What does that look like? So we're going to kick it off to the next segment, our biggest segment, with the Quentin Coleman.
He likes big segments.
He likes big segments.
And pressure.
See, so y'all see why I say OTA. Open to all. You see why I say OTA.
Q, what's the juice?
So, as we've been talking about, you know, transitioning to the new year, we're in 2022. This is a time for rebirth in a sense, repositioning, reevaluating what happened last year, and just trying to suss out some goals and whatnot for the new year. I know for me, that's what I do. I try to etch out some goals at least the first week of each year. Actually, that's a good question for you guys. How do you usually transition into the New Year's? I mean, I know we do the party stuff, but like what else do we do as far as trying to rethink our lives or reposition ourselves for the new year, going into the new year?
You know, I've wrestled with this because in the Black community, there are just unspoken rules around how you do certain things, particularly how you bring in the new year, right? I think when you're young, you get taught, baby, you need to be in somebody's church when that clock strike 12. That house needs to be clean, some black eyed peas. Like, there's a routine here, right?
But don't wash clothes on New Year's Day.
Don't do that.
I didn't know that.
But if I'm honest with you, my house is a mess. Cause I had just moved a couple months ago and I still have yet to sit down and just really unpack everything. I don't like black eyed peas. I was not at anybody's church and I actually didn't even go out. I literally stayed at home and watched Christmas movies and drank soda and ate shrimp fried rice. And I was very content. And so I wrestled with the fact like, damn, because in some ways you really latch onto this idea that not doing these things means that you're opening up this portal of bad shit that's gonna happen in the new year.
But bad shit happened anyway.
somewhere, I want this to be abundantly clear. In the year 2020, somebody on January 1st was in church, had cleaned their house, had ate them black eyed peas, baby, and still ended up going through the pandemic just like everybody else. And so I say that to say is that recognizing that the things I needed to do to transition into New Year was a short list, and that all that was consisted of being in peace. That was my list. And if peace looked like me cleaning my house, cool. If peace has been like laying on the couch, eating my shrimp fried rice, watching my Christmas movies, that is also okay. So I've wrestled with that. I'm still out here kind of tussling because I'm kind of waiting on the other shoe to drop. But
Damn, I should have ate those black
I should have ate the fucking peas. But
But also, if not washing clothes on the 1st, and if going to church when the clock strikes 12, and if making those black eyed peas gives you that peace, please continue to.
you like it, I love it. I don't yuck nobody's young.
But just because somebody doesn't do it
Doesn't mean.
doesn't mean that they going to hell in a handbasket.
And that was like my point in asking, because I know everyone does like their thing, like everyone has like their.
So to your point about like not doing it and go to hell in a handbasket, that's not my take on that, because like I am a ritualistic person for New Year's. And so for me, like those rituals make me think of like my upbringing. It makes me think of family. It's also, and because it's like a ritual and it's something that I do every year, it gives me peace. It brings me joy, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna start out my new year with something that I used to do with my grandma or something that I used to do with my mama that made me happy back when I didn't know hell what year it was. You know what I'm saying? So for some people, they find that peace in ritualistic things, and preparing for the new year as well.
I didn't do shit. I don't look at dates as very important. Like, it's another day to me. I don't really celebrate my birthday like that. Like I'm one of those people that's like, okay, bitch, tomorrow is tomorrow, and that's really what it is. Tomorrow. You know, and so
people gonna get that one.
right, get up on that. And so similar to Harold, like New Year's, I was like, I ain't bet. Like I'll be at the crib, because to me, the next day, if you're lucky and blessed enough, it's gonna come. You know, and it's another day, and so I appreciate people who do symbolic like recognitions of dates and times and periods. However, also conversely, let's recognize and create a recognition for every day. Like, because every day brings something different, and every day brings another experience.
And a new opportunity.
You could randomly meet the love of your life on a motherfucking Thursday at the laundromat. Yeah. I mean, why is that not important? And so I looked at New Year, I looked at 2022 as people really like couch their hopes, dreams, and aspirations on this day is going to, it's a cleansing, it's a new beginning.
You're gonna wake up and be this whole
You go home and, bitch, you still toxic.
And you
Or-
get up and you're like, bitch, I'm still the same.
Bitch, I'm still the same, you know? And to me, it's like, all right, let's be mindful of the fact you got 365 days, 366 in a leap year.
Come on.
To make some things shake. And so why does this one day hinge on that?
All or nothing.
All or nothing,
Because you know
baby.
what? So I actually.
It's rituals. The same thing when we think about all major holidays. Think about fucking Valentine's Day. You're supposed to love somebody if you with them all throughout the year. So why do we celebrate birthdays?
Which is
We
why
celebrate
I
like Christmas, Thanksgiving.
And that's why those things are not important to me.
But I would say like it's, because I do agree with that. Every day is, it's a restart, and we can make a changes, on any day. But I know for me, it's more symbolic, because it's like we've made one resolution, and then now it's internally for me. Well, let me speak for Quentin. It's a chance to restart, like an official restart. Even though I do agree every day is a restart, because we're blessed to like wake up every morning, and so we have the opportunity to like make a new start or whatever. But it's, I don't know, kind of like what Chris was saying. It's like it's more of a symbolic thing, where it's like this is a really good opportunity for you to make a huge revamp in life. if you weren't able to like do something in 2021, now is your opportunity to like really set out some goals. And that's what I do. I'm like, for the past few years, mine is this year. The past few years, I actually would sit at home, have a glass of wine or a bottle of wine, and then I'll just.
Wait, did you say a glass or a bottle? Woo, that escalated really quickly.
No, so I think the symbolism is very important, and and not taking that away from anybody, but I think, and I'll use I statements. I had to re-examine why I was doing those things. Was I doing it because it was just something I grew up and I was accustomed to, or did it really mean something to me? And so what I did was something that meant something for me, and that's me and my sister spending some time together. Because even though some people may think my sister and I are close, we like just got close when she moved here because her dad was in the military still, and he always lived overseas. So he always lived in Japan or a different country, which means that me and my sister would live together for 2 years, then she would go live with him for 6 years, come back and live with us for 2 years. And so we never really got a chance to develop a relationship, right? And so what I did for this New Year's, especially what recently happened in family, is like, you know what, let's just chill at home, make some crab legs and lobster tails, drink some champagne, and we just watched comedy movies, laughed our asses off, and watched the fireworks. And we just had on regular t-shirts, was just our drawers, sit on the couch, and just chill.
I will also add into this too, because Chris introduced this word rituals, and I always want to make sure that, particularly when it comes to the Black community, we don't ever think things are just happening just to happen. Right. But there are passed down ideologies related to those particular actions, right? So our ancestors, they had black eyed peas as their first meal because it signified prosperity for that year. So it was intentional and important for you to have that as your first meal. We talk about, again, this notion of cleaning your houses because, again, it would signify as bad luck, right? To go into New Year with a dirty house, because that means in some ways it's going to be reflective of your year. It's going to be cluttered and dirty and all over the place, right? And so I think people have tied and associated bits and pieces of like, and I will even, to this point, to your question, around like how are you transitioning to New Year, people associate aspects of being better to how you bring in a new year, right? So to be a better you means you got to start day one, right? But as a quote, I love this quote that says it's not day one, it's one day, right? Or is make today your day one and not instead of one day. And so that day one could be the first for a lot of people. It could be the first of the year. But for a lot of people, a lot of day ones in their weight loss journey, in their lock journey, in their financial repair journey started January, June, August.
And you know what? And maybe to coin up what you're saying, Harold, is that being better is a journey. You just don't wake up one day and say, "Baby, I'm better." Ooh, I don't wake up one day and saying, "Today, you know what? I'm gonna save a lot of money." Hell no, that don't happen.
Cause that first hitting them bills still get snatched up.
Or for example, the gym. You just don't wake up one day and be like, "Bitch, I'm gonna be consistent as fuck in the gym." You can say that, but by day 5, you ain't going. Right. So I think that we need to get in our minds, just Black people, white people, queer people, straight people, that embetterment is a journey. It's being better is not gonna happen just because we woke up. It's not gonna happen just because we're breathing. Being better happens because we create a plan for where we want to be that's different from where we are now.
Go.
And then we set out to make that happen, and we're consistent with it. And when I say consistent, I'm acknowledging it like everything is not going to be perfect. You may fall off the road. Right. You know, it's okay.
Give yourself permission.
You will. And that's okay. Right. But it's not about how you fall. It's about how you get back up and keep moving. Right. So I want to let you all know that in 2022, you don't expect to wake up on January 1 and things just to be perfect. Right. Just because you've written them down on a piece of paper, or you got these amazing things on your vision board, or just because you ate some black eyed peas. But if you choose to wake up on January 1, if you chose to wake up on January 1 with a refreshed mind, with a new sense of self, looking to engage in new experiences and new things and looking to be better, be okay with the journey of your embetterment.
And just to come off of that, I think for me, I think that when I got to the place where I gave myself permission to fail, like I set out goals and I said, it's okay if I fall off, but to your point, it's all about how you get back up. But that was so liberating for me. And ever since then, it's just like, I mean, you can do anything. Like, I mean, I know it's so cliche to say, but like anything in life you can do, but you know that there are going to be opportunities. I mean, not opportunities, but there are going to be times in your life where you're going to fail, you're going to fall down, you're going to stumble, but that's not the end, because going back to what you said, that's a journey. Like life is all about journey.
And can't be successful without failure.
Exactly.
In this moment, I want to quote a song from one of my favorite movies, The Fighting Temptations. Took me a while, but I'm finally here. I just want to testify to make it crystal clear. See, I've been beat up, I've been talked about, but I'm here, I made it. So your journey to being better is not going to be perfect. You're going to fall. You're going to have some hurdles. But the reward is in the test that you overcame on your journey to be the person that you want to be for yourself.
Because you can't have a testimony without a test.
Ooh. Oh, shut up.
First lady. Now, you can't do that anymore. You can't just randomly go in. You are the first lady now. When you go in, it needs to come from your gut, and it needs to be a little bit more power there. I'm gonna need you.
Now, this is a question for you guys. So how do you guys measure success? So, but wait, before you answer that, like just being reflective of 2021, and think about like the goals you set and everything and what all transpired in 2021. Like, how do you measure on how successful your year was?
I go first, because mine actually has transitioned. So in the past, I always measure success about like how much money I had or like what I was able to do in that year. But now I think that I'm learning that like a lot of that's important, great, but that doesn't make you happy, doesn't fulfill you. So moving forward, I'm measuring success by happiness. Like, am I authentically happy with life? And when I say happy, I mean like sometimes I feel like we're content, and just because we get so used with being content in life that we mask that as happiness. But when I say happy, I want to be able to wake up with a smile, no matter what's going on, and just like have a pure joy about life. So that's moving forward. That's how I'm going to measure successful years of that. Waking up, being joyous, and being happy with a smile.
I think I measure it by peace.
You took my answer. I hate you.
I love you though. I love you. Got the same answer. And the reason I say peace is because if 2021 was a year, but and there were a lot of reasons why I was depressed, why I probably could still be depressed. Hell, my life has not been a Cinderella story like a lot of people think. It has not. It has not, and a lot of people think it has, right? But it definitely has not. And so, but how I measure success, not just in last year, but up until life, and I've been reflecting on this a lot lately, is I'm truly at peace with all that I've been able to accomplish. And the things that I haven't been able to accomplish, then it just wasn't meant for me to accomplish those things. It just wasn't meant for me to go forward with those things. And so when I can reach a certain level of peace where I'm just like, you know what? I did my best and I am happy with that, because I could have been a lot worse than what I am today, right? 2021 could have took me out. This show could have been destroyed, or like whatever canceled. I don't know whatever we don't call it, right? But there's still a lot of successful things that have happened in my life despite or in spite of. So I'm at peace, and for me, that is success.
To piggyback off of both Chris and Adrian, one, I'll piggyback off of Adrian since he just went. You know, I'm at the point now, again, I'll be 41 in less than a month, February 2nd. If I left the earth today, I'd be fine.
I literally said that to myself the other day.
I would be fine, and not in some morbid type of way, but like I've done a lot of shit that I was told that I wasn't going to be able to do. I have earned a terminal degree. I have been successful in one entire career, and I've pivoted into another. I've loved, I've hurt, I've been recovered from hurt. I've hurt people, and I have found my way through that. And so I've run a gamut of races. One of my favorite songs by Kirk Franklin is called "The Appeal." And the and it ties into what Chris said about, you know, I used to gauge success off of money, but baby, if you've ever worked in higher ed, you ain't made no money. So you already know that ain't made it. And now that I've pivoted into the ed tech world, I make a substantial amount more money. However, it doesn't like yuck my yum to what Harold said, but Kirk Franklin's song "The Appeal," the last parts of it, when I die, what will they say about me? Will the work that I've done be enough to help someone?
Yes.
And I've always looked at myself as wanting to be that agent of assistance and help in the community. And so whenever I die and these hoes is crying at my funeral,
I'm gonna be laid out. I'm just in the casket. I want you to know.
Just know, if I've been able to help at least one someone, I would have had that version of success that I look for. I strive for joy. You know, happiness is fleeting, but joy, like to wake up every day with joy in something. It doesn't have to be in everything, but in something is extremely important, and I find that in a lot of ways.
Can't nobody take your joy.
Can't nobody take your joy, and so that's how I define success.
Yes, please. I don't like to measure success because I feel like you'll never have enough to measure what you've done, and you'll never have enough to measure what you're going to do. And so, but I will say byproducts of success, right? I feel like when you feel successful, a byproduct of that is peace, as Adrian mentioned. I don't want to ever become, and I think, and Chris, tell me if I'm like butchering what you said, but I know you talked about not wanting to be content. I feel like what you were trying to like really talk about is people becoming stagnant, where they're not growing, not moving, not changing, not doing. Yes, I don't think nobody or anything, any organism on this earth should be stagnant and stay in one place consistently for the remainder of their life. But I also want to make room and space. That's okay to be satisfied. Like it's okay to say, I have enough money, or I have enough education, or I have enough friends, or I have enough like I've engaged in enough relationships. Like it's okay to be at a point of contentment and satisfaction. And so to me, I think also that's a byproduct of success too. It's like I'm satisfied. Like I don't need to accumulate anything else. I don't need to justify what I did, what I'm not doing, who I am hanging around and giving my attention to, and who I'm not hanging around and giving my attention to. I'm here. I'm okay. And to your point, both of you all, you and Adrian, if I left the world today, I really would be at peace, because at the end of the day, I made this motherfucking world feel me. Okay? Like it felt me while I was walking the earth. There are corners of this world where people say, "You remember Harold Brown?" And and it's not saying it's about that, but I feel good knowing that I've lived a good life. I've lived a life of servanthood, and I've also have lived a life where I have made myself a priority. And so,
Baby, you either famous or you infamous, but either way, bitch.
you know my name and just spell it right in the credits. Bitch, you doing a good job. Bitch, you doing a good job.
I would say, Harold, to your point a little bit, that I think for me personally, I always used to measure success by comparing myself to others. Like, oh my gosh, my friend just bought a house. Why don't I have a house yet? Oh my gosh, my friend just became the CEO of an organization, VP. Why aren't I that yet? Oh my gosh. And so I was like, I used to be like, I'm not successful. I am nothing. I'm less than. But there was a point, especially within the last few months, that I had to, or over the summer, where I had to wake up and be like, you have to measure your own success. And a lot of times we grow up with other people determining what success looks like for us, especially our parents. Like my mom was very honest with somebody else in the family when during the holiday, and she was like, when Adrian first came out as being gay, my heart was broken because I had all these expectations of who he was going to be, an attorney. He was going to be an attorney. He was going to go to law school. Like I had his life planned. And for her, that is what success meant. But then when this gay boy came out and auditioned for the School of Dance at Ohio University, started dancing pre-professionally, she just couldn't take it, right? And so, I think we, like, once we define what success looks like for ourselves and be at peace with that, then that is what success is, right? Instead of measuring ourselves up against somebody else and what their success is. Their success is their success, and that's great. I'm happy for you. Do you. Now take some time to reflect on what that means for you and accomplish what you want. So many times we want to accomplish what somebody else has, not realizing that's not for us, which is why we're not accomplishing it.
Well, and I like that you said that because, we live in a world now where we're always comparing ourselves. So, we have social media, and that is like the biggest,
Trap.
right? Yes, and we can easily find ourselves just comparing ourselves to any and everybody on social media, and so. But it's one, I don't know if y'all saw this. This was years ago, but there was, Oprah's like masterclass and that she has. And so it was in her interview that she said that if we continue to we're running the race and we continue to look back, we're never going to win the race because we're looking back to see what the other person is doing. We have to stay focused and worry about how we're moving and going through life. And so that always resonated with me and kind of brings me to how I measure success. I always measure success by my emotional and mental space and mental mindset, because that for me, that's like the determining factor on how I move within my life. If I'm low on my emotions, or if my mental state is fucked up, everything else gonna be fucked up because I'm not gonna be motivated to do anything. I'm not gonna want to do anything, and so I feel. And that's not to say during every year, every month, every week, our emotional and mental state ebbs and flows. It's constantly going up and down. But if we can figure out how to manage that more efficiently, I think for me, Quentin, that it really helps in my day to day. So for 2021, it was much better than 2020. And I've gotten a lot of things accomplished. That's not to say that I got everything that I wanted accomplished, but small successes mean a lot. So that's how I measure.
Sometimes it's all about the small wins. And speaking of small, we're going to take a small commercial break and we will be right back.
I did not think you were going there with that.
Hey y'all, and welcome back to the BlaQberry View episode. Yeah, I did.
Sneaky shady.
So y'all know our tagline is part tea, part shade. All love. That's the shade right there at the end. That one right there.
And it all comes from Q.
That's the shade.
Oh, that is not.
That's the shade. But we are wrapping up this episode. But we're going to get down to our two favorite parts of the show, which is first, why those feelings. So, Chris, what you got for us?
Well, one, thank you, Adrian, for finally acknowledging that this is the fan favorite part of the show.
He said two favorites. He said two favorites.
Yeah,
That was selective here.
No,
You
this-
just knew that he said.
First of all, you all are taking what I said out of context. I said this part of the show. So this whole episode is about being better and gauging what better is to you. And so, as you all know, if you are a fan of the show, you know that I like to switch things up when it comes to our feelings about the topic. So since we're talking about being better, I'm going to talk about how does it feel when you know that you need to do better, or what checks that each of us have within our lives that's like that turning point to be like, bitch, I need to get on my shit. And those checks could be your friends that get you together. It could be moments of mental crisis. It could even be moments to where your mental health like gets completely out of whack. But I just want to know, like, what is the triggering point within your life that acknowledges that, hey, I need to do better?
So I can go first. And we will have an episode coming later on this season about mental health, so I won't dive too much into that. But I have two triggers. One also is very important to know and own your triggers. So let's say that. And you can't place that responsibility on anyone else knowing your triggers far too often. However, two things for me. One, there's this really deep pit in my stomach that I feel like, oh shit. Also, and I'm very transparent about my mental health journey. Obviously, if you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, you already know. I've been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. And I've had generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, since the fall of 2020. So I battled through that, all of that. However, I go into a series of anxiety attacks. Like, they're very real. It's literally like the room is closing in on me and I want to get extra busy to feel like I'm accomplishing some shit, and I'm not accomplishing anything. And so for me, it takes this opportunity for me to sit and write in my actual anxiety journal. There's an actual anxiety journal out there for y'all. We'll share the link later on, but it's for those who have generalized anxiety disorder, and it's based off of cognitive behavioral therapy. I write in that journal. It has a series of prompting questions, and it helps ground me, because I think that for me, it's like, all right, let me get grounded first, because I'm all the way up here, and I need to be here. And then once I do that exercise, it then allows me to take into context, what is it that I need to change? What is it that I need to do differently or better? And what are my triggers that are causing me to have this generalized anxiety disorder attack right now at this moment? So those are the two instances for me.
My gut, usually my gut is the one that tells me, like, when I know I need to do better and I'm in a really bad space, my gut will usually tell me, like, okay, bitch, like you on your last leg, you need to ease up off the gas. Like, and it could come in the form, like, I hate being a burden to people. So if I feel like I'm being a burden, that's one trigger. I also hate, I hate being in a space where I can reflect back. And there's nothing wrong with this, generally speaking, but the situation, like, you reflect back and be like, I could have done this differently. Like, I could have avoided this pitfall that I just fell into. Like, I hate that feeling. And so, but for those, for me, are like gut checks to be like, okay, I need to do better. Because I don't want to have one of those moments where I'm looking back on, this could have been the outcome had I just did what the fuck I needed to do. Like, sometimes it's lack of knowledge, but a lot of times it's like, I went right when I know I should have went left.
You gonna go? I was gonna say, for me, it's a consistent sense of being unfulfilled. So, like, I know throughout life we have those days, those quote unquote one-off days where we feel unfulfilled or unaccomplished. But for me, if it's on a consistent basis, if it's more consistent and it plays out consecutively over and over again, then I have like this kind of like what you said, this visceral feeling where, okay, bitch, you need to do something different, because you're kind of like in this stagnant place in your life for example, like where I am in my career, and I kind of talked to you guys about it. Where I'm like, I need something else because I'm not feeling fulfilled. I'm not happy anymore, and I just need to make a move. So, and I have been feeling like this for the past probably 6 months or so. So I know now that okay, I need to make a move. If I want to get out of this rut, I need to make some changes. So but for me, it's more of a consistent feeling that kind of like wakes me up and gives me like this kick in the ass. But yeah.
I would say for me, one of the things is being or having erratic behavior. So I also suffer from anxiety, and well, I won't say suffer. I have anxiety, live with anxiety. And so when I start, like, I'll start cleaning everything. Like, I'll drop whatever I'm doing, and I'll just start cleaning. And I mean, when I say just start cleaning, I mean clean. Right, exactly. Or another sign is I just all of a sudden go internal and I just don't talk to anybody. I don't try to see anybody. I avoid going out. I avoid speaking. I avoid talking. I just avoid people and I shut down, which then ignites my depression that I suffer or that I live with. And so, like, you know, last year, or no, I think it was 2020. The years are mixing up, but there was a
Blend together, girl.
blend together. I like blend.
That's what happens in this stage of life, sweets.
Anyways,
You going through the change.
I don't care how old I get, I will still always look beat. What's her name say on Go to Girls? Oh, I'm sick and I still look good. Better than the rest of you. But anyway.
Make she rest in peace. I'm sorry, I had to do it.
Yes, rest in peace, Betty. But in one of those years, I actually attempted suicide. And that was a physical sign that I need like something in me. And it wasn't the first time. And I was like, and at that time, the therapist I was seeing, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of myself. And I think that's the last sign for me, is when I get tired of myself. Like, I know people say when you get sick and tired of being tired, when I get tired of me, that is definitely a like trigger, like, bitch, you need to do something and get a handle on this.
Thank y'all for sharing. I think mine would be is that I spend a lot of money. I am a impulse buyer when it comes to apparel and just like random stuff. I think that growing up as an only child, when I felt alone or when I felt abandoned or when I was just in an emotional state, my parents would like kind of buy me things to make me feel better. And most of the time it was clothes. And so like as I became an adult and started fending for myself, like when my life was in turmoil, buying things was how I was able to cope with life and to make myself feel better. Was it the best thing to do? No. Did I have an amazing wardrobe? Yes. But my account did not reflect what I looked like in the moment. And I wasn't, and when I get to that stage, I don't set myself up for success. And I think that it's gonna take, and I think also like within me, like that's my version of anxiety too. Like feeling like that I'm not enough or feeling that I don't control, but what I can control is that, well, at the end of the day, I know I got the money to go buy what I want and you can't say nothing to me if this is not working out. And then you said something earlier that struck with me and just thought about, you said, I live with anxiety. But for people out there, for those of you who deal with that, don't think that you live with anxiety. Anxiety lives with you. Because you are a person outside of your situation and you can overcome anything with the right support and with the right mindset. You are more than whatever that you're going through. Anything that you deal with in life, it lives with you. You don't live with it. It's chasing you. And you have the power within yourself, as long as you have that support and whatever support looks like to you, to get away from it and to alleviate that. Before we move forward, I would like to thank each and every one of you all for being vulnerable within this moment, because I know a lot of time, I know with my sessions, we get vulnerable. It's emotion driven, but it's just to showcase that we are people, we are different. Even though we may seem grand in front of this camera, We all deal with shit.
Y'all got
Just
shit.
we all do. We all deal with our shit. We all try to compartmentalize our shit, just like our viewers. And going back to something that we said earlier about doing better being a journey. That journey starts with acknowledging how you feel when you're not okay. Because you can't do better until you realize where you are. And that is our WTF moment. Thanks.
Thank you. Just, oh my goodness. Oh my God. Oh my God. So we, tink tink. So we talked about what those feelings. And so now a segment that I personally always love because I always take it and reflect on it. I love yours too, don't worry. But I always take it and reflect on it. And I usually take what is said throughout my day or the next few days. So,
Q, I'm feeling a little bit unappreciated, like Cherish. So, we gonna keep it pushed.
Zach, go ahead and bless us with some tips so we can dip.
So welcome to Tips and Dip, y'all. When we were talking about episode 3 and we talked about do better to be better, there were a couple of things that I took from that concept and that ideology. And so I'm gonna give you a few different tips, and I would love for my brothers on the BlaQberry View to respond to which one resonates with them, then so we can dip. So the first one is expectations. We talked about expectations a little bit, just a little bit, but expectations breed premeditated resentments. Meaning that if you go into a situation with an expectation, especially for someone else or you as a person, you're human. So how can you meet these expectations? And if you don't meet them, you're automatically pissed off and upset. Expectations breed premeditated resentments. You're already setting up these resentments before the expectations are even met. The second one, we talked about people being grander or greater than what they are or what they're capable of being. Just like kingdoms, pedestals fall. And pedestals are man-made, human-made, people-made. The third one, we talked about transitions in life, how you've gone from one stage to another in your life. Transitions equal evolution, and that evolution equals growth. And it allows you to be able to grow into that next form. Maybe not even your final form, but that next form of yourself. Yes, Frieza. Shout out to Dragon Ball Z. And finally, and Adrian actually gave me this at the 11th hour of us filming this show. So shout out to you, Adrian. When you talk about changing things about your life, I remember a professor of mine in my doctoral program told me once upon a time, if you want to change some things about your life, the first thing you have to do is change some things about your life. And I think for me, that's the one that resonates the most. However, I want to give it to you all to talk about which ones resonate with you and share that with our audience and why.
I'll start and say that the first one related to the expectations breeds premeditated resentment is so real. And people think you're coming into a situation being a pessimistic person, but I think it's as important as adults to set realistic expectations, right? And that is not the worst can happen, but like the worst happening is also a plausibility, right? And also the best happening is also a plausibility. And so anywhere in between, right? And so going in with this, I am ready for whatever life brings me, as opposed to I want life to bring me this specific thing, will help people navigate that. So I learned that the hard way. I've had a lot of moments where I've resented people and things because they didn't meet my expectations.
And Harold, I think that speaks to, again, going back to Insecure, if you think about at the end of I think season 3, when Issa had that flash forward of her and Lawrence getting married, having a kid, all of that. And then you see the end of the last episode of the final season, And it kind of manifests, but it doesn't manifest in a way
that she wanted
that
to.
she wanted.
In the time.
In the time that she wanted. Does that make it any less? And that's a question we all have to wrestle with. But who's next?
I digress.
I'm like Harold. Like the one that really resonated with me was expectations, because I am very much so a planner. I plan everything in my head. I write shit down all the time. And I guess that's the Capricorn in me. Shout out, my birthday is January 7th. When things don't go according to plan, that just disrupts everything in my life. And so I'm like freaking out, and I'm just like, why the fuck did it go this way? And then I'm all upset. I'm upset with the world. And I'm like, woe is me, life is over. And so I really have to recalibrate my mind and not, even though I still want to keep goals, but I have to tell myself that that it may not go according to plan. Now the end goal may still be in place, but the journey to get to that goal may be different. And so yeah, because I'm very much a control freak. Like I want it to go like A, B, C, D, and child, that thing is all fucked up. And then I'm pissed off with the world. So yes, definitely expectations for me that really resonate. Oh, for sure.
So I would say for me, I actually saw two that stood out to me, and the reason that they stood out is because when Zach said them and I heard them, they kind of went together for me, and it was one and it was two. So since y'all talked about one, I'm gonna talk about one a little bit, but I'm gonna really just focus on two. So one was expectations breed premeditated resentment, and two was just like kingdoms, pedestals fall. So for me within my life, when I see things or people who I perceive to have some type of value, I put a level of expectation there. And so like I started to think about like my life and how I view things and how I view people. And so a lot of times that when I see things of value, people, places, or things, there's an expectation that I have based off the value that I see. But when you said just like kingdoms, pedestals falls, and sometimes I put these things of value up on a pedestal, but when they fall, I'm hurt. And I'm looking to blame everybody else because I put so much expectation there. But the only person that I can blame is myself, because my resentment was premeditated because I would set myself up to fall within that failure. And that's how they like correlated to me. And just going back to like, just like kingdoms, pedestals fall. And so thinking about, because I am a history buff, I love everything about monarchies and I love all that. Every Netflix series about somebody in the 17th century Europe, Russia, France, hell, China, a bitch done seen it, okay? And so a lot of times, kingdoms, what? A lot of times, kingdoms fall for a multitude of reasons, and typically when they fall in the most unexpected way. And so a lot of times when we put so much emphasis on things and we place so much value on things that we don't expect to fail, they fail, but they never fail in the way that we expected them to. And it becomes a surprise. So based off of that, that's why that stood out to me. Because I'm always in a situation to where like, damn, I put all my time and my energy into this, and the thing that I thought was going to happen didn't happen, but the shit still didn't work out. But that's because I put so much expectation into it. And I hurt myself in the end. So yeah.
Mine is just like kingdoms, pedestals fall, but I have a different interpretation or way of thinking about it. Sometimes in life, we can think of ourselves as very badass bitches. Can't nobody touch me. I'm where I need to be. I got it. But life has a way of knocking you down to be humble you. And yeah, it does. And even though I don't think I've ever been a person to like rub anything in anybody's faces or think I'm better than people, but what I have been guilty of doing is internally just being like, well, I am the shit. I got this. I don't need to work that hard. You know, I haven't had to interview for jobs. I got like, it's been just people offer like, I got it. And then life being like, okay, well, let me show you. And just like everybody else, you're gonna have to put in work for what you really want.
When life starts life.
Exactly. And so I think for me, the reason that this resonates is because every now and again we have to check ourselves. And that's okay because we're human. We have to look in the mirror and just be like, you know what? Yes, you are that bad bitch, but understand with all this bad bitchness comes work and comes effort and growth.
Cause I know I'm that bitch, but sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and say, well, you're not cute. You look dusty and your hairline is uneven, just so I can make sure that, you know, the rug don't get pulled up my feet.
And we have to do that. We have to do some internal checks and reflections and just be like, you know what? I may be a kingdom, but just like kingdoms, I will fall. And that's okay. Again, back to what Chris was saying, it's about how you get up.
So thank y'all, because I mean, y'all gave me some extra insights, and I thought that I knew which one applied to me until Adrian.
Until you started hearing it.
Until I started hearing plot twist. Dun dun. And so for me, it is especially with the recent situation I've been dealing with. Pedestals. You put people on these pedestals. And to Chris's point, the first one and the second one about expectation and pedestals, they definitely tie in together. And so I put them on there purposefully because one may resonate with some, the second may resonate with others, but if you really see it, you can tie them things in together. Yeah. And you have these expectations of people to behave in a certain way, to love you in a certain way, to want you in a certain way. And one day they can wake up and not do that.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God. Yes.
People can be married. But Chris, you got something you want to...
Right. Let him finish though. Let him finish because, you know, time, y'all.
You know, you see people who've been, you see people married for 30 years and one day somebody wakes up and they decide they don't want to do that. And so for me, that then ties into the fourth one. In order to change some things about your life, the first thing you've got to do is change some things about your life. And I go back to what Q said earlier about his desire to change careers. You wake up one day and be like, you know what? I need to change this shit. But before you can change that shit, you got to change that shit. And then you start to see, it may not be in the first week, it may not be in the first 3 months, but you see things manifest. But in order to change some things about your life, you got to change some things about your life. You got to change. Chris was talking about being in a doctoral program. You got to change that mentality of let me listen to these other people versus let me listen to myself.
Right. Facts.
Right. And so that has empowered me to say, you know what, Zach Shirley, if you want to get up, bitch, you want to have 3 jobs in 1 year? I didn't necessarily say that. But I prayed a very specific prayer, not like the Sierra prayer, but similar. To where I prayed this prayer of not being in this role. And months later, I was not in that role and I was in a different role. And then I prayed for something else more specific and it came. And weeks later, it came. And so I think that if I were to leave you with any tip and dip, it's these multiple tips and figure out which one resonates the most with you or what combination of them resonate the most with you. Again, number 1, expectations breed premeditated resentments. Number 2, just like kingdoms, pedestals rise and fall. Number 3, transitions equals evolutions equals growth. And finally, number 4, if you want to change some things about your life, the first thing you have to do is change some things about your life.
Facts.
Well, y'all, I told y'all, Doc always comes with the shit. Okay? Some stuff to reflect on. So as we close out episode 3 of the BlaQberry View, season 2, please be mindful and think about where you are in life. Take some time to reflect. Take some time to think about where you want to go, where you want to grow, how you want to evolve, and do that shit. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in one day. But it can and will happen if you put in the work. So with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in for another episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and share the BlaQberry View. And until next time, peace.